Um, Good afternoon, folks. This is Pamela getting on here real quick to do a video chat. This is rather important. This showed up on my feed this morning. I talked about it on my main channel yesterday or this morning, so yeah. As you know, my name is Pamela. I am your host for this discussion. I have no chat on this video because I want to get it over and done with. But I heard this morning that a conservative radio host is now in the hospital on a ventilator. I think his name was, I think his name was Phil Valentine. And he is now on ventilator, as his brother claims. They put him on a ventilator out of an abundance of caution, but I have some problems with that, and I will explain. As some of you may know, if you look at the article below, I have shared this article. I'm not going to read it on this channel, but he has been fighting this condition since July, if not earlier than that. I think they have a post from his Facebook page from July 11th, and he said he was feeling better and that the coughing and the fatigue and stuff felt like hell. And, and this guy, Mr. Valentine, was the most anti-vax person I've ever heard of. But now he's in the hospital on a ventilator. And they said that he had previously been on oxygen for this. And you could go to a highlighted spot in the article that will take you to that very post on Facebook. And I told him purposely, full throttle. I told him, maybe now you'll get the shots. When your doctors and hospitals were talking about this is not something to ignore. I took the shots and I mask up. Not sick one time. I'm a disabled person and I'm very proactive when it comes to checkups and shots. That includes flu and for shots over 50, for people over 50. I hear you're now on a vent. That is not the place you really want to be. I don't chance it, nor should anyone else. And I said what I felt on the matter, Because I said, that's sad. I mean, that is. That is just very sad. And nobody should have to play with their lives. If your doctor's offices and shit are talking about a killer virus, it's just time to follow protocols, mask up, and do what they tell you to do. You're not going to storm the battlements at Normandy, somebody made the comparison. You're not going into a war. You're not going into a physical war. You have to deal with a possible killer bug that may or may have not have come from China. And it's something that we have to deal with. And like my brother finally said, he finally admitted, we may have to deal with this for the long haul. It may be one of those things that we may have to look out for, like we do every year for the flu or any other vaccine that is out there to help us. And let's not forget, science is very important because it helped wipe out things like smallpox or where people were living in an iron lung for a time with polio. So, yeah, think about it. If a man hadn't stood up and said, I'm going to find a cure for polio, we might still be dealing with polio. A lot of people had to spend their lives in an iron lung for a time. Some didn't even make it from the iron lung to get out and live a normal life. Michael Jackson's mom had polio and was limited to some extent by her disability, but she still raised a family, and her kids went on to make a big imprint in the music industry. You know, a lot of people don't want to believe in science. That is their right, but you cannot force somebody to take something that they don't want to do. That is, unless death is staring you in the face. You know, it shouldn't take somebody being on a ventilator to bring the point home that what we are dealing with is very, very serious. And this new variant may be more dangerous than what we first feared, because there's more stuff coming out from the CDC all the time. It's like COVID is a shapeshifter. It's often morphing and changing every minute that we deal with this. You know, but when I first heard about it back in January, about a year and a half ago, you know, at first, I thought they'll get their handle on it. But then when you go to your doctor's office for your physical or your checkup or your blood cultures or whatever they're doing to you, and you see signs where they're talking about COVID-19 in the walkways where you go into a hospital. If you're on a hospital campus like my doctor's office is, usually I set up an appointment, then I go and have lunch in the hospital, then I would go home. And I think the last time I was ever in the hospital itself was over a year and a half ago, until I got my shots. You know, and it was so surreal. You know, you go over for your appointment and you think you can go into the lunchroom of the hospital to get something to eat, or if you arrive at the hospital or doctor's office too early and you're hungry, you're screwed. Because the first time I went to the doctor's, when this was going down, I couldn't even go into the hospital to get something to eat. That is how tight things were. And I understood. I'm lucky I brought something to drink with me. It's not actual food, but it kept me from going too hungry. So, you know, but a lot of these people that are anti-vaxxers, they're not only hurting themselves, but they're hurting the people that are around them, co-workers, friends, relatives. You know, and I keep thinking about those damn kids that went to Florida about a year or so ago. Well, I'm not going to worry about COVID. I'm going to go out and do whatever I want to do. But that sucker that said that wound up in the hospital in such a situation as that radio personality. And he was able to talk, but he said, don't take it so lightly. Take care of yourself. Get your shots. It's not worth getting yourself sick. And let me remind you of something. There are a lot of people that don't get a chance to fight this disease. Sometimes it's progressed so much that they need lung transplants. I know one meteorologist that you probably heard about that helped calm a fellow meteorologist on air as a tornado was going through parts of Tennessee. And he survived it, but it was hell. You know, they did videos where he was in the hospital talking about it. You know, and it makes you appreciate things a hell of a lot more when you do survive it. But it's not worth playing with your life if you want to follow the misinformation trail. You know, and when this all went down, when it started going down, my older brother, who is as Trumpian as they come and as the anti-vaxxer person that I know he is, he says, you're staying home is probably the smartest thing you've done. And I've had several members of my family. One, my twin brother had it, and he had the joint pain, the fatigue, and a fever. And his boss told him to go to the doctor and get checked, and he found out he had COVID. And he's still struggling with that, with the fatigue and the pain. And then I found out some other extended family members have it. The mother of the 10 grandkids that I'm often talking about on my other channel that my twin brother had married into. So, yeah. And when I hear that, I want them to get better, but they need to get their vaccinations. And if you get the vaccinations, you take your shots, you sit the 2 weeks, and, you start getting your life back bit by bit. And I went through 2 shots, didn't have any real after effects, except maybe a little swelling at the injection site, but nothing major. But, it shouldn't take somebody being on a ventilator to tell you. You need to take this seriously, folks. But his brother the brother of the radio jock said that at one point he seemed to be getting better. And I think the radio jock made the decision to go on the vent. And it has to be something pretty serious in order for the person to make the decision to go on the vent. And I said to the guy, being on a ventilator is no place that anybody wants to be, COVID or otherwise, because it does damage to your voice if you're on it too long. And who knows if he's going to make it. But a lot of people say, I can't feel sorry for people like that. And after so long, you stop feeling sorry for them. But I'm not going to force the issue with my brother. That's one thing I've learned. Don't force the issue with your brother. If he gets it, he gets it, But I'm telling you, if you value your family, you value your friendships, you value your job, they're telling you now, you can get the shot or you can face getting random testing. That means having a swab shoved up your nose every week to 2 weeks. I don't think some of you would look forward to that. I would be pretty tired of it after one time. And the numbers are going up because there are a lot of people that are not vaccinated. And I know at least 45 to 48% have vaccinations here in my state alone. But there are a lot of those that haven't been vaccinated. And I've heard news stories about medical personnel, especially in old age homes. They were the ones that had the first dibs on the vaccine, right? And a story came out in my local news. You could check NBC4i.com for all the information here in my city, where medical personnel were still going into work unvaccinated. That would scare the living piss out of me, because if I had elderly relatives and they were being cared for by a guy or a woman that isn't vaccinated, I wouldn't want them around my family member, because they have weakened, compromised immune systems due to age and whatever is ailing them. If you don't want to be vaccinated, that's your call. But if you're doing your job and it affects the person you're treating, you're opening yourself up to a lawsuit. And it shouldn't have to be that way. You work in the medical field, you do what is required to take care of these people, even if it means getting a shot. And if you don't, you go for random checks. You get COVID, you incubate for 2 weeks. So it's that simple. And if you're asking me if I want to know if the guy recovers, no. I hope it's a learning curve for him. If he survives this, I hope it's a learning curve. Get your shot. It'll help protect you in the event that it comes around any members of your family. The herd immunity, I heard, may be only temporary anyway. The antibodies that the person that had it has only last for a short time. So, yeah. But like I said, a lot of people think, oh, they made it political. In a way, yes. But I look at it in terms of Trump. He did a shitty way of handling this whole thing. I found out about COVID in January, about 1.5 years ago. And I knew that when your hospitals and doctors' offices are going to be talking about it, I knew I'll go and have my lunch and then I'm going home. I'm going home until something breaks through to get us out of this funk that we're in. Of course, in the beginning, my brother thought it would only be a couple of months. Well, here we are a year and a half later. And people still aren't vaccinating. Oh, and if you're wanting to know whether the guy's listeners is going to vaccinate, let's see what they say about that. Let's hear. At the bottom of the article, it says, his brother says, Mark Valentine is the guy I'm talking about, the brother of Phil Valentine, spoke with Nextstar's WKRN earlier in the week about his condition. At this time, he said Phil has slightly improved, but added hadn't turned the corner to recovery yet. His brother went on to say Valentine would be the most pro-vaccine person you've ever seen when he returns. Quote, when he gets back to the microphone, he's going to tell you in his own words that he regrets not being more adamantly proactive. The good news is we've had dozens of people who have responded, and they said they want to get vaccinated because of this. And it's really sad. You have to, it's like you have to hit somebody on the head with a hammer before they get the point that this is your life we're talking about here. You could play around it all you want, but it's not helping your situation. Who knows what he infected at the station? If he infected anybody, I would be very scared if I knew somebody that I worked with had COVID-19 and still went to work. And I think if you're not going to get the shots, you need to be subjected to random testing. And if that's what you want, have at it. But you know something? I'm glad I got my shots when I did. I feel better about it. I'm doing the best I can to help me and protect any members of my family that haven't been vaccinated. So, and yeah, I keep as clean as possible. I mask up when I go outside this house, and I haven't been sick once. I follow protocols. Wear your mask at all times. And when you sit at a table to eat, you place your order, and then when you get your food, you take your mask off and you eat. And so far, that mantra has always worked well for me. As I close this video out, do what you can to maintain your overall health. I'm just telling you what I feel should be done. But I'm not going to force you. But just think about it. Your family, your friends, and possibly your life could depend on it. Because very few people are lucky enough to survive. I heard about a couple of people getting full lung transplants because of this disease. It basically eats your lungs. It basically eats your lungs is what it does. And sometimes people don't get time to fight the COVID-19. Sometimes they're so far gone they can't do nothing for them. And it's sad. Then you get a few assholes that are very smart alecky about it. Because somebody talked about it on one of these Facebook posts. The countless, many Facebook posts I have seen over the last year and a half. And I told one guy, and he says, you believe the news? I said, if somebody had seen a doctor walk up to somebody and say, we cannot help your family member, I'm more likely to believe that. And I said to the person who made that snarky comment about not getting the shot, and I said, I'm hoping, that it's never you that's on that table leading your other family member to make the decision whether to continue treatment or not. And it's horrible. I took the shot because I don't want to end up in the ICU paying overpriced medical bills. And I know that from personal experience with my twin brother who had cancer. He had stage 1 kidney cancer. Went in the hospital for a fucking week. And it cost him thousands of dollars. We're talking the operation itself. We're talking about the preparation and the operation and the medications for pain and the x-rays they kept doing to him when he wasn't able to keep anything down. That was thousands of dollars. And I don't know if he still have that all paid off or not. So if you want to say that the hospital is all about the money, yeah. But they don't turn anybody away because they know they would be violating their Hippocratic oath if they did. I don't want to see another person go on a ventilator. I've had friends that spent their lives on ventilators that have recently died in the last 20 years. It's not fun, especially when you can't cough up your own junk out of your chest. No. And if you're in a bad state like that radio jock, he's probably laying there thinking, gee, maybe I should have followed guidelines. Maybe I should have done the right thing and advocate for shots. My way isn't exactly working, is it? And don't forget what Trump said. They caught him on audio saying, I love playing it down. I played it down. I love playing it down. Remember that. And because of that, hundreds of thousands of people are now dead due to this pandemic. And other countries are doing the best they can to stay on top of the variants. But we'll see how far this has to go between now and 2022. And people are probably downing Joe Biden right now about the lack of shots. But I blame the misinformation highway for that. But when I was at the doctor's office in January, I knew I wasn't going to fuck around with my life and end up in the hospital. I was going to make damn sure of that. And I'm going to do it again this winter. Because it doesn't look like we're going to come out of this pandemic anytime soon. But if you want to play with your life, that is no sweat off my back. You're only hurting yourself and your family and your friends for doing so. Plus, if you kill anybody, whether it's your friends, family, or coworkers, you'll only have yourself to blame in the long run. Think about it. Or do some of you anti-vaxxers ever think for yourselves? But then what do you get when you follow an idiot, huh? A lot of these people got a pine box. That's what happened. So think about it. I'll get back on here sometime later today or sometime this weekend to talk to you again. But look at the article below. Click to go to his page and leave a comment for him should you want to. I know I did. But if you care about anything in your life, whether it's your friends, family, co-workers, or the public in general, please get your shot. It'll help save your life. Even if you do get it, I don't think the symptoms would be as severe. But, as they say, COVID is shape-shifting all the time, and we have to be ready for it. We need to kill this thing. We need to kill COVID, before it gets to all of us. So think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Take care of yourselves and each other. Bye.